All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Houston Oasis. I'm glad you're here, and happy Father's Day. I did get a chance to talk to mine on the way, so that was good. All right, let me get started right now with, we have a wonderful show for you today. We have Kory, Quinn, and Wayne Wilkerson coming in for the music, and then we'll have Andrea Murray give her talk. It's right here. And then we'll continue on to a coffee break, and then we'll go back to some music as well. So let's get started with Kory and Wayne. They've played with us many times before, and you can see some of their bio here, where they're local musicians, and they're very popular here at Oasis, of course. And so I'd like to let them show their work on their own.
Swinging on the front porch singing another heavy Houston evening in the summertime. Dark days and nights are on the rise, hoping that I won't get roped in to the first door that comes open before me. 'Cause what I need is to take it easy. And these broken cobblestones really make me feel at home. And I know just what to do, and that's get wrangled up by you. Fonder with my dreams of yonder, in and now I seem so somber than I was. Is that because I was all along? Wishing that the folks I'm missing will hear me while I'm whispering, fare thee well. Soon time may tell if I was wrong. And these broken cobblestones really make me feel at home. And I know just what to do, and that's get wrangled up by you. Thoughts and prayers can't save me. Maybe your touch, baby, will prove too much for my pride. And these broken cobblestones really make me feel at home. And I know just what to do. And that's get wrangled up by you, wrangled up by you, and wrangled up by you. Come on down, thanks. Appreciate it. Moved here from Portland, Oregon. Well, a little town called Scotts Mills. They're famous for making toilet paper. I'm serious. But moved down here about 5 years ago and wrote that song while we were staying here in Montrose, and all the broken cobblestones up there up off was it Gray, up in that little nook, reminded me of Portland, and wrote that last one. Do a Borderline? Sure. So it was nice to make a new home out of my new home, you know. So that's the bright side. Here's the dark side. It's almost that same day where that guy drove all the way from, what was it, Nashville or Tennessee, all the way out to El Paso and tore up that Walmart. And so this song came out of that too. Cross my hand with silver, a story I would tell. And if you trust yourself like me, I won't remember well the moment, the minute, the face of the man that took my place. It was a coyote who had the taste, not for winning, but the race. And the queen of the night shook her petals to bloom, to fall in grace upon her tomb at the temple of the moon. And as the shots rang out when she took off from the mount, and her sins, though weren't many, they all did count. Under the desert sky near the Rio Wide, hear a coyote sigh. Someone died on the borderline, on the borderline, on the borderline. Well, 10 years time served in the decades far ahead, and those days, though they may come, will pale this cold hotbed, where silence and shadow steps, at least whispers and nothing left, only guilty of the crime of testifying her only deaths. Under the desert sky near the Rio Wide, hear a coyote sigh. Someone died on the borderline, on the borderline, on the borderline. As the desert sand sweeps themselves to sleep while she's lowered deep, and the red clay's hard for her blood to seep, like the rain leaves little for to keep. He turns his eyes hoping he hadn't seen what he'd seen, and walks away wishing this was but a dream. Under the desert sky near the Rio Wide, hear a coyote sigh. Someone died on the borderline, on the borderline, on the borderline. Under the desert sky near the Rio Wide, hear a coyote sigh, someone died.
Thank you, Kory and Wayne. They will be back. And since I didn't introduce myself before, let's make sure I do that before someone gets on me. I'm Abhishek. I'm one of the board members of the Houston Oasis board. Since for all the first-timers here, welcome. This is a secular community. We're defined by some of our core values that you can see here on the board here. And we've been around since about 2012 or so. I've been coming for a while now since then, and it's been definitely a breath of fresh air for a long time. This community holds a big meaning in my life as well. Thank you for joining us and making this a better place, and especially in this world. I do want to point out some of the events that are going on during the week. We have a board meeting coming up as well that we do during the week to discuss some of the more organization stuff. I don't believe the date on the placard is right here. It's not this week. It's a couple weeks later. We had some commitment issue things. And then we have the Oasis book club coming up as well at Cafe Express on Gray Street on June 25th. We will also have voluntary events coming up. They're scheduled. The next one should be in July. Just holidays. We want to make sure everyone's available. All right, let me get started, and I can tell you more about events, and you can always reach out to me during the talk or after during the coffee break if you have any other questions. Let me introduce Andrea, who's spoken to us before as well. She's the Senior Community Health Education Specialist at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center. You can see all the swag up there. She provides cancer prevention, education, and outreach efforts to the communities in the Houston area, and that's what she's here today. You can read more about her in the bio here. Thank you. Please.
All right, good morning. It's good to see everybody again. I'm going to let this down a little bit. Can y'all hear me? Okay, all right, awesome. Good morning. It's always a pleasure to be here. I love this group and what you guys stand for. So my name is Andrea Murray. I've been at MD Anderson for many years, 15 years to be exact, and I love what I do. I pretty much go out in the community and I talk to people about things they can do to reduce their risk of cancer. Cancer is something that affects everyone in some way, no matter who the person is. Typically, we always know someone who's been affected by cancer, where it's affected your family personally, yourself personally, a friend or family member. So I always love sharing this information because there are always things we can do, and no one really wants to talk about cancer. Okay, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, all right, awesome, thank you. Okay, is that better? Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, so I like to start off all presentations by telling you, please share the information you learned today, because you might have people in your life who are kind of dealing with symptoms privately, or maybe are not going in to get screened for their symptoms. So please share what you learned. If you've ever had any kind of cancer screening exam, just mention it. Just say, hey, I had my colonoscopy. It just opens up the door for people to ask you questions or to encourage them to go. So that's something that I find a lot being at MD Anderson, is that people sometimes either delay their screening exams or they just don't want to know anything. And I get it, because cancer can be very scary, but it's important that we all do what we can, okay? So I'm going to go through your 9 ways to reduce your risk of cancer. I will say first, I did bring some handouts and bags. Please take as much as you like. There's less I have to take home. You can take extras for other people. But on the cancer screening exams, there's one that looks like this. It's men on one side. These are all the exams that we should have, okay? And then on the other side, it's women on this side. So these are the recommended screening exams and the ages you should have them at if you're someone of typical risk. And then everything I go over, the 9 ways to reduce your risk of cancer, is going to be on this other handout. So if you want to take extra of those, you're more than welcome. Then I have some bags up there, lots of them, so take those too, okay? All right, so let's get started. 9 ways to reduce your risk of cancer. Okay, so what you see on the screen are typically what I call excuses, right? So, and I get it, a lot of times people will say, it doesn't matter what I do, if I'm going to get cancer, I'll get it no matter what. And in some ways, this is true, right? Sometimes you can do all the right things and you may still develop cancer. I meet a lot of people who feel like, I feel like they've done something wrong when they've developed cancer. But we don't live in a bubble, so we can always be exposed to things that can cause abnormal cell growth, which could be cancer. However, it's not, number one, it's not a death sentence. Number two, there are things we can do to reduce our risk. So even though people may believe this, you don't want this type of attitude or belief system to keep you from doing what you can to prepare your body, to protect your body, and to make sure that you're doing what you can to prevent cancer as much as possible. All right, so let's go through tips to lower our risk. So again, like I said, there are actions that we all can take, and we're going to go through all the risk factors that may affect cancer. Now, number one, like I said before, kind of slightly mentioned before, cancer is the uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells, okay? So our bodies are made wonderfully, but we are going to always be exposed to things that could cause abnormal cell growth. Not all abnormal cell growth could be cancerous. Some are just benign. Sometimes we can have benign growths in our body that can be easily removed, and it typically don't threaten someone's life. However, cancerous tumors, when they do grow, they tend to spread, and they tend to, over time, depending on how invasive it is and what type of cancer is present. So let's go through number one. Number one is to work to maintain a healthy weight. And this is always a touchy subject because one of the things I've done at MD Anderson is work with people to implement behavior change. And that's hard for anyone, right? We're all made in beautiful shapes and sizes. Typically when people think of weight, they think of one image that they have been socialized to believe through just programming and everything. But we're all made in beautiful shapes and sizes. I tell people that all the time. So a healthy weight is really a healthy ratio between your body fat and your muscle mass. So no matter if you appear thin or if you don't appear thin, we all should be working toward increasing our muscle mass and decreasing our body fat. A lot of times when people go to a doctor, the doctor will just look at their height and their weight. They'll bring those numbers together and then they'll tell their patient, you're either underweight, a normal weight, a healthy weight, or overweight. But if I took like someone like Serena Williams, who is a pro tennis player, if I took like a football linebacker, if I only look at their height and their weight, it's going to show them as overweight. But when you look at them, they're clearly like pumping full of muscles, right? So really it's not just your weight and how you appear, it's that ratio. And also as we get older, we lose muscle mass. It's a function for everyone as we're getting older. That's why it's harder to lose weight as we get older. So no matter what we're doing, we need to make sure that we are that we're working to build our muscle, keep our muscle, and decrease our body fat, okay? So it kind of takes the pressure off and makes you think, okay, we all got to do something, right? Even though it's going to be hard at times, we all have to make sure we're doing something. One thing we can do is to eat less of the foods that we know are not good for us, and we know what those things are. Like I grew up in the Southeast. I'm not originally from Texas. I grew up in Tennessee, and I grew up eating horribly, so whenever I go and I visit my family in the Southeast, I see the donuts, I see the super sweet tea and all these different things I grew up eating. And sometimes people think when they make behavioral change that they're taking their culture away, they're taking their favorite foods away. I'll tell people just eat more of the good stuff, eat more of the healthier foods first, and you'll find in time you'll eat less of the other things. So eat less of the things that are not good for you and find ways to move more. we need to incorporate healthier meals. This is number 2. So one of the recommendations for reducing your risk of cancer is a plant-based diet. Now, plant-based does not mean you have to be vegetarian. It just means that 2/3, ideally, of your diet is of a plant source. So that's going to be fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. All the things we know we should be eating, right? So the other 1/3 can be plant proteins or animal proteins, okay? So you can be eating plant-based and still consume animals if that is your choice. So you want to keep in mind that you want to remember that beyond just eating your fruits and vegetables, those foods protect you. All those phytonutrients in those foods help protect your body. It gives your body what it needs to fight off abnormal cell growth. It helps you with a healthier weight. It helps prevent things like cancer and heart disease, all the things that we know. So even if you're craving donuts or all these other things that are out there that can be addictive and wonderful, you have to also think about, let me feed myself nutrients first. So if someone is wanting, their typical favorite meal that isn't the healthiest, I say, well, eat half an apple first. Give yourself nutrients first and think of it as self-care in that way. Something else that's a recommendation for cancer is to limit red meat, okay? So again, a lot of times under these presentations, I'm talking about things that are very precious to people, and I get that. Again, I grew up eating lots of these different things. So the issue with red meat is that as we get older, it's harder to digest in our systems. For some people that I talked to, they were even telling me that they find they naturally may start to eat less of red meat as they get older because they find that it takes longer to go through their system. So when we say limit, we mean you want to have no more than 18 ounces of cooked red meat a week. And so that's going to be a good judge of that is like the size of the deck of your palm of your hand or the size of a deck of cards, okay? So that's about 3 ounces typically. So you want no more than 6 servings of red meat a week. And a good judge of knowing if the animal is red meat or not is to think of it this way. Typically, if the animal that you're consuming, if it had 4 feet, that is red meat. 2 feet and no feet is going to be white meat. Very easy, right? So 4 feet's red meat, 2 feet and no feet's going to be white meat. So in this example, pork is going to be considered red meat. As a long time ago, I remember when I was a kid, they had commercials where they're trying to make pork the other white meat, but it's actually considered a red meat. So if you consume meat, you want to think about that as well too and find ways to limit that, okay? Okay, question for you guys. Raise your hand if you think that eating processed meats like bacon and deli meat increases your risk of cancer. Yes, okay, good job. Okay, yes, let's talk a little bit about processed meat, okay? And again, I know these are things that people love. I'm not trying to take your favorite things away from you. I just want you to be aware of them, okay? So processed meat is going to be any meat that is preserved or packaged, okay? So typically, let's take bacon. Right now, like bacon has they have bacon flavored ice cream and all these different things. If you open up a package of bacon, it's wet. It has like a liquid brine there. So that brine has very, very low levels of acceptable amounts of chemicals that are known to cause cancer, okay? So if you're eating a diet high in these processed meats, then you're giving yourself really more than what you need of these types of agents. So keep in mind that you want to find other ways to consume meat instead of just always depending on like sliced deli meats or hot dogs or bacon. Sometimes you can use real cuts of meat. Like I have 2 8-year-old kids, like twin boys, and they love sandwiches, but sometimes I'll make like chicken salad sandwiches with real cuts of meat, or or real like barbecue or those type of things that's using real meat. So keep that in mind. You want to find ways to mix it up so you're not just getting processed meat. Okay? All right, number 3 is staying active, okay? So moving. And so I want you to think of staying active more than just like putting on special clothes or go to a gym and do special things. You want to just find ways to move. Whenever you're moving all the fluids in your body. So beyond helping you maintain a healthy weight, like for example, whenever you're walking, you're pumping blood throughout your system. Like even though your heart pumps your blood, you walking and moving pumps blood throughout your system. You feel good after you exercise because you're moving the chemicals in your brain. You're moving your bowels. You're moving lymph through your lymph nodes. So all the fluids move in your body whenever you're moving. So you want to find ways to stay active. Even if you have 5 or 10 minutes, if you can get up and move around, walk up and down stairs, find ways to stay active. That's going to help make sure that you're getting the activity that you need. The recommendations for just movement and to help support your body's function is either 150 minutes of moderate exercise. Now, moderate is all these things on the screen. So that means that your heart rate is going to be increased from its resting state. You can still talk while you do the activity. So I can, if I'm walking, I can still talk to somebody. You may or may not break a sweat, but here's Houston, right? So you're more likely to break a sweat. All right. So these are things you can do. You know, even if you can do 10 minutes of it, a 10-minute walk, or just whatever you enjoy. And I'm very much a realist when I'm working with people. I'm like, look, if you don't like, I don't know, like some of these things, then don't do them. Do what you like, you know. You can get in the pool and walk around. Like that's strength training. That is still moderate exercise. So go dancing. People forget that dancing is exercise. It's movement, right? Yes, exactly. Y'all were dancing earlier, so that's wonderful. Find ways to just make it fun for yourself, you know? So if you're in the moderate exercise, this is simple, 30 minutes. It can break down to be about, 30 minutes, 5 days a week, or however that works for you. But if you're in a more vigorous exercise, the recommendation can be 75 minutes a week, okay? Vigorous is going to be where your heart rate is really elevated, but basically it's just hard to talk, okay? So like example, if I'm playing basketball or if I am doing a Zumba class, I'm not talking to you. I'm just trying to keep up, right? So I'm not going to be able to say a whole lot, but your heart is really beating. You're definitely sweating. So these types of activities are going to encourage more movement. As things are going to move faster. So you really only need 75 minutes. And this is just to, again, support your body's function. So build up to this, you know, just build up what's going to be realistic for you and go from there. And you also want to encourage strength training. Keep in mind, as we get older, we lose muscle mass. So it's not just going to be important for your weight, but it's also good for your muscles and for you to, and your bones and your health and your balance as you get older. So find ways where your body can resist the force. So whether you are doing yoga classes and your body's resisting some of the poses and encourage that. If you're walking in a pool and you're resisting the pressure of the water, that is still strength training. You can use weights, you can use exercise bands. My mother, and I love giving this example, she has like the stretch, I'm talking about like the stretch resistance bands. She has that by her couch. And so when the commercials come on TV, you get those out and she will do stretches with them. It's perfect. And she's not even getting up. She's still sitting down, but she's getting strength training, right? So I'm like, whatever, it works. It works for her. And I think that's the thing that people need to realize. You got to find what's going to work for you, you know? So keep in mind, make sure that you get at least strength training at least twice a week. Number 4 is to not smoke, okay? So keep in mind, cancer is the uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells. Smoking, and when I'm talking about smoking, I'm talking about vaping, hookah, e-cigarettes, cigars, chewing tobacco. All of this is giving you extra chemicals that your body doesn't need. Cigarettes themselves gives you 7,000 chemicals, believe it or not, 7,000 chemicals. So your body has to do something with this. It has to process it, eliminate it. And so over time, your body is basically storing these chemicals and trying, you know, either in your body in some way. And so that can lead to abnormal cell growth, especially cancer. So I'm a tobacco treatment specialist. It is very hard for people to quit smoking. I get that. So keep in mind that even if you are using these products, you want to work to reduce and to slowly stop. I can say so much about this. And one thing about with vaping is that, you know, I was also around in a day when people could smoke inside buildings. And so as soon as they took that out of buildings, then you have the introduction of vape pens and everything. And it's just basically another way of delivering you these agents. They're still just as unsafe as smoking, and they're not going to be good for you or kids as well too. And here's something else. But what if you're not a smoker? You know, because you still be at risk. And I will tell you, I have met many people at MD Anderson who have developed cancer who've never smoked a day in their life, but their spouses smoked, or they were, you know, or maybe their parents smoked and they were always around them. So it is the smoke that is dangerous. Okay, so if you're constantly getting that smoke, you're getting those chemicals. So keep in mind, secondhand smoke, thirdhand smoke, which basically is coming on your skin. Like if you're smoking, you're outside outside and you come in, it's on your clothes, those chemicals are just sitting on you, okay? So keep in mind, you want to find the best ways to just not have that around you as much as possible, okay? All right, okay. Raise your hands if you believe this. Raise your hand if you think that e-cigarettes are a good way to quit smoking. I kind of gave this away. Okay. All right, the answer is no. So let me tell you about e-cigarettes, okay? So again, this was tobacco company's way of getting people to basically to still make money, for lack of better words. E-cigarettes, if you're trying to quit smoking, you don't want to mimic smoking in any way, because a lot of people who are addicted to smoking, it's not just the nicotine, it's also the habit of smoking. When I talk to people, they get used to smoking after meals, they get used to smoking in certain situations. It's the habit, it's the act of it. Even some people say, I hate cigarettes, but they're so used to the habit of smoking that that's the hard part to stop. So you don't want to start something else where you're still using that same habit. You want to stop the whole thing altogether. So keep that in mind. It's not proven safe, it's not safer than cigarettes, and it's not an effective way to quit smoking. Something else with e-cigarettes is that, when cigarette smoke, the smoke is really heavy and thick and it stays in the air. With e-cigarettes, it's a vapor. It's a thinner particle, so it actually disperses quicker. Because of that, it actually affects your brain even more, okay? So kids, does anyone know what age your brain is fully developed? 25, right. So if kids are smoking before the age of 25, it is affecting how well their brain is developing. Number one. And this is really sad because a lot of these products, when you look at new vape pens, they're clearly appealing to young people, right? So, and the cigarette companies, they know this. Even if you're older than 25 and you're vaping, if you have anything like anxiety or any mental health issues, it's going to aggravate those. It's going to make it worse. So it really affects your lungs. It won't give off the tar as like cigarettes will, but it still affects your brain, your lungs, all parts of your body. And there are chemicals that are in cigarettes that have not been used long-term in humans before. So again, it's not safer, and it's definitely something that can also be linked to cancer, okay? Number 5, something else people don't like to talk about, okay? So alcohol, limiting alcohol. So last year, the Surgeon General came out with recommendations about alcohol and cancer. They have known about the links between alcohol and cancer for a long time. Pretty much it's the inflammation that's caused by alcohol and some of the other particles in alcohol that can link to cancer. You just want to be aware of this, and you want to find ways to limit or avoid alcohol if you're at a higher risk, okay? Now 6, we will talk specifically about the HPV vaccine, okay? So HPV, you want to get vaccinated between HPV, that's a human papillomavirus. This is a virus that most people get in their lifetimes. It's just spread through skin-to-skin contact. But this virus is directly linked to 6 different types of cancers in both boys and girls, okay? So typically this is a vaccine that's given between the ages of like 8 to 14 to young kids. But some people never receive this vaccine. So like, ovarian cancer, oral cancers are very highly linked to this. So with this particular virus, it comes in your body and you may not even know you have it, and then it's removed from your body naturally, and you never know that it was there. It's like a visitor that came and went without you knowing about it. However, there are certain strands of the HPV that if you get that strand, it stays in your body. It does not leave. And it's directly like a lot of people who have like ovarian cancer, for example, like a good 80 or a high percentage, when they look at, when they look at what caused it, they can see that it's the HPV virus. So it's definitely one of those vaccines that can help prevent, it's like 90% effective against a lot of these different cancers, but only those 6 particular cancers. So if you've never had this vaccine, it's something you want to talk to your doctor about. They even offer this at like Walgreens and those type of places as well too. So talk to your doctor and just be aware that if you have young ones, to protect them with this particular vaccine, okay? And I gave the next question away, so I will skip it. It is safe for both. It's considered safe. They do know that they know that it's 90% effective from cancers that are caused by the HPV virus up to the age of 45. Okay, now if someone's older than 45 and they have the vaccine, they can't guarantee the 90% effectiveness rate. Okay, but they do know that it's highly effective if you have the vaccine at younger ages. Another vaccine that helps protect against liver cancer is the hepatitis B vaccine. So again, this is another one that's really good. So you want to talk to your doctor about hepatitis B vaccine. And these are all part of your regular screening exams. Your doctors know this. You may have had these vaccines, didn't even realize that you had them. Okay? Just a few more here. Number 7 is getting screened, okay? So even if you ignore everything that I just said, and I get it, some people say, Andrea, I'm gonna eat what I want, I'm gonna smoke, I'm gonna drink. It is everyone's life to live, right? And I think you should enjoy life. However, even if you choose to do that, which is fine, you still want to make sure you keep up with your screening exams. And again, that's what this handout is for. Men on one side, women on the other. You have these screening exams to protect you, because if cancer is present, it's not going anywhere, right? It's going to slowly grow depending on how invasive the type of cancer that person may have. So cancer is highly, you can survive cancer at high rates if it's caught early. It's less invasive to you. It's less expensive if they can catch cancer early and they can remove it. So and sometimes people have symptoms, even if they're doing everything right, they may still have cancer symptoms developing and not even realize it. But a cancer screening exam like a mammogram or a PSA blood test for prostate cancer will help. Now I do want to tell you guys the top cancers in both men and women, and by top I mean what people in this country tend to get and what people tend to die from in this country. Now, for men, those cancers are going to be lung cancer, colorectal cancer, and prostate cancer. Okay, so a lot of these screening exams are to get at those. And for women, and there's some common ones, for women, it's going to be colorectal cancer, lung cancer, and breast cancer. So again, make sure that we're having your screening exams. If you have one, and you're around friends and family, just mention, say, hey, I had my mammogram, and it reminds people to get theirs, because no one loves to be poked and prodded, myself included, right? And if you can skip over exams, sometimes you make an excuse to not have them, but just talk to someone about having these exams, okay? So I'm gonna go through just quickly to show you which ones you need at certain ages, but it's all on this handout. So from 21 to 29 for women, you tend to have your well woman exam. That's going to include all these different things here, like your pap test, your clinical breast exam, and an assessment. Okay, now at 30 to 39, they may include all those same things, but they're going to include an HPV test with or without the pap. So they're just going to see if they see any kind of presence of the HPV virus in your system. Now, once you hit 40, that's when you can start having your mammogram. Now, this is someone of normal risk. If you have a family history of breast cancer or of any other types of cancer, these things may be early for you, okay? But if you have normal risk and there's no other risk factors present, then these are when you would have your exams, okay? Now, after 45, women would have add a colonoscopy and a mammogram. And again, you would talk to your doctor, because your doctor knows your history, but you will make sure to have these exams regularly. Now, for men, starting at age 45, you would have a colonoscopy and you would have a prostate screening exam. Now, this prostate screening exam, something that men don't always know is that you can test your prostate screening exam just do a blood test. You don't always have to do a digital rectal exam that some men are afraid to do. A blood test, a PSA test will tell you your levels, and your doctor can get a baseline at this age and then compare it regularly to see if they're noticing changes in your PSA levels. So make sure you have this, make sure you have that colonoscopy, all right? Now, after 75, for men, and really for women as well too, our tissues start to thin and change, and so your doctor might have to determine which type of exams you might need, so you'll talk to your doctor at that point, okay? And also they consider a hepatitis C test, which can also help you with like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and liver cancer, okay? So that's something else your doctor would look at. All right, 2 more. Number 8, we got to protect ourselves from the UV rays. And again, we live in Houston. It's hot, it's sunny, so we particularly want to make sure we're protecting ourselves between the hours of 10 to 4. Everyone should wear sunscreen, even someone like myself. I always like to tell the story that I was one of these people that believed that the darker you were, you wouldn't burn, until one day I actually got a sunburn. And I was kind of mad at the sun for a little bit. I was like, really? I really believe that. But keep in mind, minds that sunscreen is so different than it used to be. And now makeup has sunscreen in there. A lot of lotions that we typically wear, a lot of our normal products has sunscreens. Just look at it and make sure that it has sunscreen in there to protect you. And if you have young kids, model this behavior so they know that it's normal for them too. But our skin is our largest organ, okay? So keep that in mind. And also, it's not included in here, but you want to make sure to have like a full body scan and absorb your, look at your body for changes. I think the last time I was here, I did the skin safety presentation. So just make sure you talk to someone about if you notice changes in moles or different changes on your body. And number 9, last but not least, is to know your family history. Now, a lot of times, and I've found this, I don't know if this is just in certain communities or what, but a lot of people deal with their cancer diagnosis privately. Like they feel embarrassed or they don't want to tell someone they have colon cancer. Like we'll talk all about the food we're putting in our body, but we won't talk about what it's like coming out. And so it's very true, right? We don't talk about those type of things. You know, we don't ever sit around and talk about our bowel health or if our breasts are changed. We just don't talk about those types of things, right? So keep in mind, that's why I tell people that if you have an exam, to just mention it because it opens up the door. So with family history, people tend to look at what people died from, look at what people dealt with. I have met so many people who, like for example, I recently met a woman who she had developed breast cancer at 36, and she realized that 2 of her other cousins in her family also had the same breast cancer. They kept it private. She had no idea, and it causes a lot of problems in people in her family because she's like, why didn't you tell me this? Like, I need to know this. So keep this information. In my family, I'm that person that people know that around the holidays, they'll see me and they'll be like, I'll ask them personally, okay, you are 40, so have you had your mammogram? Have you had this? They know this about me. So just be that person and ask and model that for people. And you can even make it fun. Like, at one point, me and some family members, we all had our mammograms around the same time. We went and had our mammograms and went and had, food and something afterwards. And so you can do that as well, too. Okay, so we've gone through all the different things here. All right, I do want to say that even though I'm from MD Anderson, I want people to go wherever. I know MD Anderson is great. I know I'm biased. However, you can go. I'm not just telling people to come into MD Anderson for these screening exams. I want you to go wherever is convenient for you. Okay, so when you're talking to people, they do these exams everywhere. So go wherever is convenient for you. If you are interested, we do these screening exams. You can go. You can take this number down, and we offer those there too. And last but not least, I do these presentations everywhere. I love coming here, but if you want a free presentation at another community group, you can go to mdanderson.org/community and you request these programs. So I go to schools, I really go everywhere. I do them virtually, in person, but our goal is to end cancer, and that starts with all of us. So any questions? Yes. BMI, yes, I should have mentioned that. So BMI is basal metabolic index. That is the scale that doctors use. And you can Google BMI and you'll see a scale. It'll just have weight on one side and height on the other. I think it's reversed. I think it's height here and weight at the top. And you bring those numbers together and you fall in a range of underweight, normal weight, overweight or obese, but it does not take into account your body fat, your muscle mass. That's the example I was telling earlier, how like if I was to put a football linebacker and I only look at their BMI, it gives you very little information. Doctors use it as a tool, as a general indicator, but it doesn't tell you everything. There's so many people who are a healthy weight, they have a healthy ratio between their body fat and muscle mass, who have an unhealthy BMI. So I tell people, don't worry about what you look like. Just worry about making sure that you are always working to keep your muscle and build your muscle mass and reduce your body fat. Great question. Okay. Yeah.
Not a question. Back here.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Not a question, but a proposal, and that's number 10 for your talk, and that is to avoid iatrogenic medicine, which is medical treatments that might hurt. Mm-hmm. And the folks here know I'm very much pro-science, but one needs to be careful if you're, say, have a CT ordered on you. If you can get the same information with an MRI, CT is X-rays, and actually a CT is a series of X-rays, so your dose can be 100 times what you would get in just a single planar X-ray. So ask, do I really need this CT? Is there something else that can get me that information? Avoid that ionizing radiation dose. Another would be, oftentimes if something is seen, the next step is a biopsy. Consider whether that will change your course of treatment, whether you would have a surgery anyway, whether you would do just watch and monitor, because biopsies themselves are not completely benign. There are clear cases of the biopsy seeding cancer cells along the trajectory of the biopsy needle path, where that cancer has shown up, even, for example, going into a liver and finding a tumor that matched that tumor growing on the surface of the skin where the needle had gone in. It's not a super high risk, but it might be as high as 15% for some aggressively growing tissues.
Yeah.
And the other is a false reassurance. If they go in and do a biopsy and they miss the target, you get falsely assured that, oh, we only see normal cells here. So there should be some caution in there about course of treatment. Again, if you need it, get it. But if you have options, or if you think there could be options, discuss those with your physician.
Yeah, great point. Thank you. Yes, that they should bring it in.
Am I on? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, body fat. How, logically, yes, but what is the role of body fat? If it's easy enough to answer just a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So it's so interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, because my grandmother grew up during the age of Great Depression, so she always called her body fat insurance. So she's like, she's like, baby, you need your insurance in case you get sick. And in a way, that's true, right? If all of a sudden everything was to shut down, and then your body fat basically is extra fat stores, and it helps to feed you in case you can't feed yourself, right? But that body fat also is not just sitting there. It actually releases hormones and chemicals, or really hormones. And it causes more inflammation. It can cause an increase of hormones that might link to cancers that are hormone dependent, like certain types of breast cancers and other cancers. So the body fat is not just sitting there making things difficult, making it hard to put on clothes or those type of things. It does things. And so keep in mind, when you are eating healthier meals and taking in consuming fewer calories or exercising, you're going to burn either body fat or muscle mass, right? And so depending on how, and of course, I wish it would be wonderful, right, if you can just tell your body, look, I want to burn all the body fat right here, right? And it could just burn it right there. So I want to keep all my muscle. But it's not the case. Sometimes when you exercise, you're burning muscle too. But the goal is just I think it can get so complicated when you're thinking about, I got to do this and that. I just tell people, just move and eat better. Move and eat better, and your body will come to a better metabolism. You'll notice those changes that way. You're welcome. Other questions? Yes.
Deli meats and other processed meats, don't they
Yeah.
have nitrites in them? Is that the
Yes,
culprit?
the nitrate. Yeah.
And wasn't there a way to turn nitrites into nitrates by eating vitamin C foods along with that?
I'm not sure about the turning of those, but I know, like, for example, you can buy certain meats that are lower, they have low nitrates in them, or nitrites, and so it will, the one thing with that is that those packages, they go bad really quickly. Like, I remember doing that at one point, kind of trying to buy somewhat low levels of those agents in there, but as soon as you open that package, you got maybe 2.5 days before all of that meat is like gone, it's not good to eat. So I don't know how the role of vitamin C and how it protects you from the nitrates. I just know that that there's chemicals in there that are low levels of carcinogens, and so you want to limit it that way. Really? Okay, I'm gonna have to check that. I love that, and sometimes I learn different things, and I can kind of check into that too. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Hi, about the red meat thing.
Yes.
Are different types of red meat like more or less risk, like ground beef, taco meat? Yeah, just any.
Yeah, just different type. You know, I think it depends on a person. Like everyone's body is different with how they digest foods. We just know that over time, the red meats are harder to kind of to go through our system over a period of time. I don't know, of course, I think some red meats are richer than others. So I'm not really sure about the differences in red meat. They just want you to try to find ways to reduce them. I will say this though, is that just like with fruits and vegetables, variety is key. I mean, there are benefits to consuming, you know, if someone makes a choice to consume different types of meat, there are, you know, nutrients in there that can be good for some people. That's a choice for them. So having variety can be a good thing. So I always encourage people to have variety in whatever foods they're eating. Okay. Yes.
Thank
Hi.
you for your presentation. Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
What about genetic testing to see if you have potential to have
Yes.
a cancer in the future? Are there effective and trusted tests that you would recommend?
Oh, that was a good, I wish I could answer that one. I'm glad you brought up genetic testing because that is really important. And so doctors, if you, knowing your family history will actually help you in getting those genetic tests. I've even known people who got very low cost genetic testing because of their family history versus someone who goes in and just wants genetic testing. They may have to pay the full cost. I don't know about specific tests, like which ones are good or not. I think it depends on the type of history you're presenting to that doctor. Like if you know that you have many people with certain types of cancer. So I think it's going to be very specific.
If I may, I'm a retired genetic counselor. I can
Oh,
answer that
perfect.
question.
That'd be wonderful.
So in terms of genetic tests, there are two main groups of tests to think about. There are some tests that screen for specific mutations and don't look at the whole gene, and there are other tests that will sequence every nucleotide of the coding region of genes. They come in panels. There are panels designed for different types of cancer concerns, like looking for colon cancers or breast cancer genes. There are also really, big hammer tests, like whole exome sequencing, where they will sequence every coding gene, all the coding regions from all of the coding genes, and look at those and report anything that they find there. So depending on a genetic professional can help you decide what test is right for you based on indication and family history. The testing has gotten pretty inexpensive these days because there's massively parallel sequencing. So oftentimes these panels can run a couple $100, $200-300 to get a large number of genes assessed. So, but you got to pay attention to what's on the panel. If you only find what you're looking for. So if a gene didn't make it into their particular panel, and it's what a mutation resides in you, they're going to miss it. So you got to worry about did the test really address the question you have? Okay. Yeah.
So in the event, I have breast cancer, and I also have a granddaughter, very young, but they're interested in, what is it, a BAR something?
Yeah. So BRCA1 and 2 are some of the main genes. BRCA, breast cancer. BR, breast, CA, cancer. The main one is BRCA1, but there are a lot of other genes that can cause it. So testing your relative really requires testing you first. So if they can identify what you have, then your relative can be specifically tested for that, right? So that you know you're covering it. But it's also important to keep in mind there are many causes for breast cancer, for example. And just because one family member has one cause doesn't mean another family member can't be at risk for something else. And I've seen many individuals who have come in for testing on large panels who come up for mutations in more than one gene.
All right, let's take a break, and Andrea will be here and to answer any questions. And she has some placards in the back. She has some placards in the back as well, and you can read them. And of course, you can discuss in the break. And we'll be right back. Thank you. What time? Maybe in 10 minutes. Yeah. are going to go back to a little bit. All right. I do want to ask one more time, maybe before I go to Kory and Wayne. Are there any more questions you want to ask Andrea? Yep. Wait, let me get the mic to you.
Thank you. Thank you for your fantastic talk, really interesting. The Harvard study,
Okay.
the Harvard study tells us that the two biggest predictors of longevity and well-being are number one, close social contact, and number two is communal social contact. For example, this could
Yes.
actually be helping our health.
I believe
Do you
it,
think
yeah.
that that's the case with cancer as well?
Oh, wow. That's such a big question. Number one, I personally believe that. Me, Andrea. Now, MD Anderson, I mean, I know that when people are faced with cancer, they do look at other avenues of that person's life. Like they will try to encourage more kind of community supports with their life. But everyone, it also depends on a person, like, you know, their cultural beliefs, their feelings on different things. They'll incorporate things like music therapy and yoga and other things, because health is more than just about just your physical body, right? It's your mind. It's so many other things that's involved in that. And I think that's just as important. You know, I can go down a whole rabbit hole with that, but yeah, I think it's very important. I think it's important too that people have community. Like I've also looked into how there are communities around the world that live longer where people have more interactions or they have more close bonds. So I personally feel that's true. They haven't told me to say that necessarily, but I Andrea, believe that, so. Okay. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's, okay. I had a question about skin cancer
Okay.
and mechanical, I guess, barriers as opposed to the stuff you put on your skin. I've got a jacket that was purchased particularly because it would repel UV rays, I mean, prohibit them from getting, or just, a hat and all those things. So I may be making a big mistake, but that's what I'm counting on, is those mechanical things.
Yes, yeah, those mechanical things are important. So, and that's one thing I didn't mention in this presentation, but with skin cancer, you can protect yourself through sunscreen, but also in your clothing. So wearing the hats, wearing certain protective clothing is just another way of helping protect yourself, especially during the times of day where the rays are the highest. So yeah, that's gonna be beneficial also. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Other questions? No? Thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. That was a really great talk. Thanks for coming back and speaking to us. All right, we'll go back to a couple more songs from Kory and Wayne. Thank you.
Driven like dust across desert sands, a lady behind us sleeping. In an outlaw's embrace, she'll never be safe. By now, she's woken and weeping. But church bells toll in the old village square. Voices to heaven and clear morning air. I've never known loneliness such as I found there, so far from the arms of my love. Her promise, a kiss, such a whisper of this. Sweet nights of candles and wine. I swear by my God, my life would change and return to what I left behind. But men in the courtyard block all escape. All of these soldiers my life wish to take. I have no concern for my own sake. I don't wish more tears for my love. On the stairs, come to kick down the door. Shots through the window, my blood's on the floor. By this time tomorrow I will trouble you no more. I know now I have failed you, my love. In time, when I'm just ashes and bones, they'll deliver a letter and a box with my clothes. My only crime was leaving her alone. And oh, my love, and oh, my love. We're not going to leave you like that on another murder ballad, but it is Father's Day after all, so just another day. Although, as my toddler said this morning, Happy Farters Day. So that was pretty good. You handed me a sock with a poop on it, and not actual poop. It was just like one of those novelty socks and poop on it. I was telling Wayne earlier, like Mother's Day, you flowers, roses, breakfast in bed, and Farters Day, you get a poop sock and a box full of crayons all over the bed. He decided to draw this morning in bed and proceeded to dump all of his crayons all over me. So this next song's about new family life, just figuring stuff out the best you can, and trying to find ways to be still be close. After you have a kid, your significant other just becomes your roommate for a little bit. I mean, it's true. So here we go. It's called Pert Near Close. It's those little moments where you're just like, hey, how's it going? How's your day? And then that's as much as you pretty much talk to each other before bedtime, because there's just so much other stuff to do. Make dinner, take care of the kid, all that stuff. So it's called Pert Near Close. Whistling away on the break of day. Papa go to work now, Mama go to play. Hey, where you think you're going without ever knowing the way? We'll dance in the night through the morning light. Mama go to work now, Papa hit the heights. Hey, He sure got a yearning, he gotta keep burning the flame. Well, chasing a dream like giving up a ghost. You learn to live with less, some more than most. Every twist and turn on this road I learned. I sure ain't got it yet, but I'm pert near close. Twitch of the light, this is the life. Mama, take a bath now, Papa, fly a kite. Hey, 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 hey. When you think of floating, the wind stops blowing your way. Drawing my pay at the end of the day. Papa, go to porch now, Mama, hit the hay, hey, hey. Hey, hey. Think and count your fortune, savor that Beaujolais. Chasing a dream like giving up a ghost. You learn to live with less, some more than most. Every twist and turn of this road I learned. I sure ain't got it yet, but I'm pert near close. Chasing a dream like giving up a ghost. You learn to live with less, some more than most. Every twist and turn on this road I learned. I sure ain't got it yet, but I'm pert near close. Watch out. Something like that. There's a kazoo solo at the end by my son. But thanks for having us, Oasis. You were a fresh drink of water, sorely needed. So
Absolutely.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone, for coming in. Thank you to Kory and Wayne and Andrea for coming in as well. Andrea, sorry. And we have an exciting couple weeks coming up. We have next week Lou talking about things to do around Houston that you may not know about. And Mariana Sokol will be back with the music. On the next weekend, which is June 29th, we have Dan Potter coming back with the Kinder survey. He's spoken to us before as well. And speaking of which, we have BYOL next weekend, which is bring your own lunch. It's like a potluck. And then we also have a potluck on the July 4th weekend, which is July 6th. So you can stay in contact with us and keep up with all these events on Meetup or Facebook or also on our website, houstonoasis.org. Lunch will be at Boyo Pizza, Wood Fried Pizza, 2202A West Alabama, Houston. So it's right around the corner here, about a couple miles away. We'll see you there. And thank you.